Hello and welcome to the SOS show live with Mary Evans. SOS stands for Share Our Stories. SOS stands for Help. I'm your host with a strong belief that there's power in sharing stories. We have a great topic tonight. Your vote matters. Let's watch this quick commercial, please. And welcome to the show, my co-host, Kaino Phillips. Kaino, I couldn't get them to stop. I couldn't get them to stop.
Mary, I'm just saying, Donna always got the best effects going on. So she get ahead and get you hyped, ready for a good show. So
that's it. That's it. Yes, I want to thank everybody for listening. Please comment, share. We love when you be a part of the show. And this is what it's all about, is educating. And guess what, Kaino? I think we have us a new president.
Yes, we do. Yes.
You're fired.
Hey, yeah, now you're not going nowhere, but you go ahead and get live with those videos for sure.
Yes, Kaino.
But the reality is we absolutely do. I mean, this has been one epic election too. It's been scary. It's been scary, and I know
your vote is precious, almost sacred. It is the most powerful non-violent tool we have to create a more perfect union.
And Kaino, guess what? We heard so many people talk about that the vote didn't matter. Their vote didn't matter. Kaino, I want to ask you, when you found the results, where were you at? What did you think? What went through your mind? What changes did you immediately thought that could happen because of the winner?
Well, Donna, Mary, first thing first, I couldn't sleep. Because the reality is this: that election, a lot of people get really impatient when it comes to presidential elections. Yeah. It takes time. It always depends on whatever state that we're waiting for the returns to come back from. Like Michigan. I mean, we didn't get Michigan returns to the next day, and the thing is that people start panicking because, you start seeing these preliminary numbers, which is exactly what they're supposed to do. As the numbers come in, they're supposed to go ahead and start reporting out. But it never fails in any presidential election. It's those bigger cities, and I hate to say it like this, power to our people, but it's always the larger urban cities that usually gives us a big hold off when it comes to reporting out, which was Philadelphia, which was Detroit, which was Atlanta, areas like that. It made it, they kind of put us on pins and needles, for us to get to those final elections. But the one thing that I did know that was, once we got those preliminary numbers, because the rural areas is going to go ahead and report out. The smaller districts was to get the numbers in place. But when it got time to us to go ahead and get to those big cities, I knew we were going to go ahead and show up and show out. And that's exactly what we did. So for everybody out there, and I hope you are listening to me, for everybody out there saying that the Americanized minority vote don't matter, you just actually affected the total outcome of a presidential election. So I want you to understand exactly how potent your vote is, and how important it is for you to go and participate in the electoral process. This was amazing. We had a record vote turnout. We have never had this many votes for a presidential election or any election in this country, in the history of this country. So
Yes.
shout out
Yes.
to us. Beautiful, y'all. Exercise your rights, please.
Absolutely. And Vernon Brown, I want to thank you for your comment. We have the names, Miss Kaino. We need to flip flop the names, but he says, aren't those names misplaced? I don't know how that happened, but we're gonna keep going. Thank you for that. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. She's gonna fix.
That's right. That's right. Keep us on task. Keep us honest.
Yes, I'm loving it. I was so excited to get going. I didn't even notice that. So Kaino, let's talk about how serious. It's a lot going on. We'll talk about how serious this is, because it's not over. What do you feel about it? Please, guys, comment. You know, we want you to be a part of the show. I think it's totally embarrassing what is going on with Trump and not accepting that it's time for him to go. Kaino, let's talk about that. How do you feel? I know he's doing a little tweeting, but it's really embarrassing to see what is going on. What is your thoughts on that? Well, and please comment, guys.
Okay, well, let's just kind of break it down. I'm going to try and make it as brief as possible. What's happening is you have something right now. The election isn't officially over. I mean, you know, as far as just the logistics, officially, you have two processes that take place in elections. Number one, you have the popular vote, which is what we just got done all doing. But what happens is you have something called a presidential elector votes. So that election doesn't take place until December. And what most states, 48 of the 50 states, put in place is whoever wins that state by the popular vote, all those electorals come together and they vote, and they go ahead and vote in favor of whoever got the popular vote in that particular state. So that's how they do it. But the thing to it is we can go ahead, you can have a situation like what happened the last election with President Clinton. I mean, not President, with Secretary of State Clinton, where she actually won Colorado, but Colorado refused to go in their electorals refused to go ahead and give her votes. So that was, of course, that was going to have to go and push up to the Supreme Court because, you know, that's unconstitutional by even their state mandates. But that is why Trump is fighting so hard right now, because the official election does not happen until the presidential electorals come together, and they do it in December. And how you know the amount of electorals is 538, which is basically the same as the amount that however many members you have in the House of Representatives and you have in the Senate. You know, the two different chambers of Congress.
Yes.
That's the amount of electoral college votes that you have. I mean, that's the amount of presidential elector votes that you have in every state. And so, like with Michigan, we have 20, for instance. So
I see.
That's
and Atlanta is a big deal because there's 3 seats available. Will you break that down for us, Kaino? Because for anyone that don't understand how important it is to vote in December in regards to these 3 seats, let's break that down. And guys, please comment if you have any comments or questions, because it's still very important.
Well, what happens in election, Mary, is you have 3 different processes. You know, you got 3 different things, 3 different battles. First battle is a presidential battle, presidential and vice presidential battle. Second one is for the House of Representatives battle, because that's one of the chambers of Congress. And then the second one is the Senate battle.
Yes.
Which is basically what happens is every state has 2 senators. It has 2 senators, and Washington D.C. has 1 delegate. That gives you that basically breaks out, because if you have 2 in every state, that means you have 100 altogether, and plus D.C. has their own, so now you have 101. So the fight is always for 51. Whoever gets 51 of those seats actually controls the actual Senate. Then you go to the other side, the House of Representatives. Those are broken out strategically for everything. That's why the census is important. Please hear me out, everybody. The census is important for however the amount of people that are recorded in the census lets us know exactly how many people we're going to have in the House of Representatives, because it's allocated by head count. So that was also the reason why we lost the Senate seat 10 years ago, because you remember there was 2 people that actually we had Hanson Clark on one side and we had Brenda Lawrence.
Yes.
there were two, so we had 2 seats, but because people did not show up for the census, we ended up losing a seat where we found Hanson Clark having to go
Yeah.
against Brenda Lawrence. And because of that, Brenda Lawrence won, and Hanson Clark we lost. And we lost that seat as well. So that's why it's important. So you have the process taking place on the House side. You have a process taking place on the Senate side. So you bring them both together. So that's the 3 battles: presidential, House, Senate. So right now in America, right now the Republicans are ahead. So that's why Atlanta is important. We actually just officially won the House of Representatives because in the House of Representatives, a race to I believe 218 is and I believe we have 219 seats right now nationwide,
Yes.
which is the House, which is something that we did not have last year, which was
Right.
the last election, which is beautiful. Now we got to go ahead and win the Senate. If we don't do that, then we're still going to have some type of strife. But Atlanta, this is why Atlanta is important. I went all the way around the block to come here. Why Atlanta is so important, because in Atlanta they have something put in place where you have to have at least 51% of the vote to go ahead and actually be a declared winner from a Senate seat standpoint. But what takes place is in these elections, you have these independents that run. And so because of that, nobody got the 50%. No one got to that 51%. So which means because you had one in basically 49, and you had another one in 49%, and then now you got that 1% that's just kind of dangling out there. So because of that, Atlanta has not Atlanta, Georgia has it put in place where if you're that close, then it's official that you have to do a runoff, and that runoff will be in January. So those same people that run for the Senate that end up getting to that percentage, now what they're going to do is they'll eliminate the independent, and so it'll be mano a mano between the Republican senators and the Democratic senators, and whoever gets the highest percentage of votes win. So that's where we are right now.
And that's so important, guys. We did a great job, but we still have a little work to do. Kaino, what is your opinion on? I've been hearing a couple reports that actually, we know Trump is definitely, he's claiming all type of things. We stole the vote. But Kaino, I've been hearing that one of the things that they believe his biggest concern is that he'll probably be going to jail.
He's most definitely going to go ahead and go to prison. Absolutely he is. I mean, the thing to it is this man has taken tax evasion to a whole nother level. And the reality is it's going to go ahead and catch him. That's why he's fighting so hard. I mean, he was even trying to contemplate and figure out, that man even asked the question if he could pardon himself.
Yes.
So, I mean, come on. The reality is he was also looking at conceding the position and passing it over to Pence in hopes of Pence pardoning him. But the reality to that is it's too late, because you have to go through the judicial process, and it would have to start on the state level first before it even gets to the Supreme Court. He might have a chance to kind of pull something off the wall with the Supreme Court because of some of his selection that he put in there. But he would never get there. So that being the case, he's going to have to go and face it up. And that's also a big reason why he's going to scream it out the White House right now. Because it's inevitable.
Absolutely. We cannot go on without saluting Madam Vice President. She did it.
Yeah, Kamala Harris. Yeah, it's
Kamala Harris.
You see a lot when you're the firstborn. I saw my mother and how she worked hard, and she was full of pride and would never want anyone to ever pity her. She never complained about anything. But I also knew how she suffered. I knew how she stayed up late at night trying to figure things out. She was a brown woman with an accent. I remember going into, a store and us being followed. I remember how people would look at my mother and make certain assumptions about her intelligence or her capacity or her right to belong. As the eldest child, you see this. My mother was very well aware that she was raising 2 black girls to be 2 black women. And she did that instilling in us pride in our culture and cultures, always knowing that we would face all kinds of obstacles, but she never let us believe that anything could get in the way of our dreams or pursuits. My sister Maya is 2.5 years younger than me. So at the age of 2.5, I was told, look after your sister. And it is something that is very much a part of just who I am, which is that look after those who need your support or need your help. And that has been what has motivated me to do the work I've done, to look after and protect people.
What a powerful video.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and the thing to it is, in all transparency, there was a lot of people to push back on the electoral process because, there was not a lot of clarity on exactly, and for the record, with any electoral process, and when you have people that have been in politics as long as those individuals have, there's going to be always some type of kickback or some type of restraint on why you should go ahead and go with that particular person. But to me, it was an absolute no-brainer because of what we had in the White House. And I will say that probably, eventually there does need to be a third party. It really does.
Yes.
Yes. The Democrat. It does because, the lines become blurred on some scales, but for this election, we got to go ahead and celebrate this sister. This is historic. This is not only a African-American sister that actually becomes the first vice president, not only first female vice president, but the first African-American vice president. That's history. That's historic. So now we have to go and do everything in our power to get behind this woman and get behind Joe Biden, this administration. And we got to go ahead and push, because right now we're in this country is in such a big hole that we're in right now. We've got to figure out a way to go ahead and dig ourselves out of it, starting with this COVID dynamic, social and racial injustice issues that we're dealing with right now, amongst, this the financial, this hole in the financial ecosystem that we're in place because of everything that, as a result of everything that's happening right now. We have got to go ahead and figure this out, and they have a tall task ahead of them, but it would help if we can go ahead and get the Senate and the House to go ahead and work with, to be able to go and work hand in hand. And even from a Biden, I'm appealing to anyone who's on the Republican side. The bipartisan thing, we got to get rid of that. Listen, y'all, look, there's got to be a team effect, especially dealing with COVID and social and racial injustice. It has to be.
It has to be. And you know what, Kaino, like you said, so many other things going on in the world, and the add on to all the things that we're going through with Trump and what he's doing. It was just so wonderful to hear I'm sure you listened to both of them in their speech after they won. Wasn't it so nice to hear two people speak like so intelligent and just of unity? I had missed seeing it, like on Word. I had missed seeing it. You know what I'm saying?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, and it was well needed. You know what I'm saying? Because it had been so long when you see them on the stage together and see them talk in the speech. They want to just bring unity back, love back, and hope back into the world. I know we still have over 70 million people, I believe, voted for Trump. So we still very divided. We can't ignore that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of votes, Kaino.
71 million people voted.
Or was it 71 million?
70, but Mary, think about it. 71 million people still voted for that man. That scares me crapless. I would say something else, but I'm trying to go ahead and be politically correct for our viewers. But 71, and still, how that's a hell of a lot of numbers. That's a hell of a large number for a vote of confidence for someone to go ahead, and to give you the report card that he gave you, to still want to go and have that man in this position. So, that's scary. But hey, he's there. And now for the other side of it, now it's up to us to go and make sure we hold them accountable. They got our vote. They're in. Biden, we got to hold you. No, we ain't got to. We're going to hold you accountable. Kamala Harris, we're going to hold you accountable, because the reality is, don't make all these promises, because that's the thing about politics. Sometimes people make these promises, and then then they fall drastically short. Bottom line is, we need you to go ahead and step up into the
pipe. That's why we have so many people that don't vote, because they all they do is make all these promises to get your vote, and they never. So I'm really praying that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden do their thing. Do you have any comments you want to read?
Well, I'm listening to V Bay say, yeah, it's good to have someone talking complete sentences that we haven't heard in a long time. Hey, shout out to Valerie Bates. Yeah, I mean, but that is the truth. The bottom line to it is, Pence is an articulate guy, so you can't take that away from him. Pence, actually, when you saw the vice presidential debates, that was more presidential than the presidential debates,
Yes,
which is
yes,
really backwards. But yeah, it's just good to go ahead and see that pedigree put on display,
yes.
because that's what
Kano,
you want to see.
at any point did you get a little afraid waiting on the numbers to come back, or did you always feel pretty confident that they had it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely, I didn't feel confident about it. I'm gonna tell you. Listen, when I say I didn't sleep for 2 days, I didn't sleep for 2 days following these numbers, and following the patterns. I grew up in a political household, so the fundamentals of politics is something that's kind of engraved in my DNA
Yes,
now.
it
So,
is. Yes.
yeah, so following it and knowing the trend. That's why I kept staying on Facebook. If anyone was following me, kind of keep people calm and kind of tell them all the things to look forward to, what was going to happen.
Absolutely. I love your posts. You keep us so well informed and so educated, because everybody just don't understand the politics. And like you say, it's in your DNA, because your dad probably been talking to you about politics since you were in a diaper, because it's there. And so I really appreciate all of the statistics you keep us up with, and the education that you keep us abreast of things. Kaino, we really appreciate you. I talk to people to say, let me look on Kaino page and see what's going on. So you never know who you're helping. You know what I'm saying? It's a great thing.
I appreciate you, Mary. The thing too is a lot of people use social media and Facebook for, some of the most heinous things ever. I mean, you find some of the greatest pieces of nonsense humanly imaginable on someone's Facebook page. I just want to use that vehicle for something positive and informative. So we can go ahead and start, so people don't go ahead and let their minds run away with them with false rumors or false stories. So, and making false accusations on things. So that's what we go for with it. But yeah. But
and if we have any Trump supporters, I would love to hear comments from you, because I always think about, Kaino, what really runs through individuals' minds that voted for Trump, like all the things that he did. Like, I was really amazed that many people. I thought it was 70 million. You say 71 million. When you think of those many people that voted, in your opinion, Kaino, what do you think is all about black and white racism? What do you think led him to Trump? Do you have any Trump supporter friends? Because I don't get it. What do you hear, Kaino?
I do. I mean, the thing is, Trump has a cult following. Trump is a modern day Jim Jones. For those who don't remember Jim Jones, he was that cult leader. Everybody go ahead and drink that Kool-Aid with cyanide in it. And I do believe if Trump wouldn't set up and told people to do that crap, some of them would do it. Just like when he set up and said, well, he need to put to fight COVID, you need to put disinfectant in your vein. Some idiot down in Arizona or New Mexico tried that crap. That sounds ridiculous. But you got people, he has that type of a cult following. You got people that really don't believe. They think that anything that they say about Trump doing wrong, that is falsified, is fake news. People truly believe that. And also it's a racial thing too. Bottom line to it is, from the big push to try to go in and have him denounce white supremacy, and he refused to go in and do so. And people still out there. And that's why I don't understand some of these brothers and sisters or Latino, well, brothers and sisters, that means African American, Latinos, Asians who still, they were following them too. Well, that pissed me off, because the thing to it, Mary, let's put this in perspective. Trump comes out with something called the Platinum Plan. The Platinum Plan, if anyone's seen the Platinum Plan was a 2-page document. So you're going to go ahead and attack all the woes of Americanized minorities in a 2-page document. Mary, when you went and signed a lease for one of your businesses, how many documents they throw on the table in front of you? When you went and bought a car, you bought a car, how many documents?
You get tired of signing your name.
Yes. And so this man said, I'm going to roll out a 2-page document to go ahead and handle all the woes of Americanized minorities. And we went from, I'm talking about, I had a conversation with people that were from the straight up. I'm talking about, listen, I have a partner of mine from the D. He is what he is. He's a straight up, he's about that street life. And is an influencer in the hood too. And that brother called me up. Hadn't talked to him in a minute. He called me up to him, okay, man, dog, man, the hood got to go ahead, dog. We got to go ahead and ride with Trump. I'm like, what the hell you mean you got to ride with Trump? And he said, dog, that platinum plan, man, he looking to do something for the hood. And I had to break it down to him. I said, look, man, you are one of the smartest hood cats that I have ever met in my life. No one got this down tougher than you. I said, but man, for you to let some old white man come over here and hit you with a 2-page document and make you think that he means that he's going to do something for the betterment of us, and you go for it without having to do anything a month prior to the election. I said, come on, man. Dog, man, when you put it like that, dog, you're right, man. I got to go and have another conversation. But this is how it went. And then that scares me. And then you also there's an Uncle Tom effect we do have too. I mean, you got certain, you got certain black people running around here giving Caucasians, and for the record too, I'm not sitting there, I refuse to sit over here and blast, all Caucasians. I'm not doing that because I got plenty of them. I got a couple of them that will be in my wedding if I got married tomorrow. But the reality is this, and a lot of them are a little bit more versed in Black history than we are. That's
the key right there. That's absolutely right. Some of us don't know and don't want to know.
Yep.
Don't try to educate yourself. And I think, Kaino, that's a way that some of us deal is like, if I don't know, I don't have to do anything about it. And it's just better for them just not to even face reality. That's what it is, because it's really important. I'm just thankful that we have the winners. I think things are going to change. And like you say, we have to hold them accountable and keep moving forward and make sure in December we get those seats changed over in December, Kaino, and do everything that we can do, even starting right at home in your own city. But Kaino, I want to switch over and we have breaking news, Kaino. I know we can talk about this president thing, but let's talk about the breaking news.
Well, we got to talk about this COVID dynamic here. Listen, and it's not only on a nationwide scale, but Michigan, this has become extremely scary. I'm talking about helter-skelter scary we have taking place.
Yes.
Every day it's almost like we keep breaking our own personal record as far as the amount of cases that we have that we're being hit with, and and then also the amount of deaths. I mean, just 2 days ago, we broke a record with 8,516 cases in 24 hours and 118 deaths. And then just the last 24 hours, we just had 7,072 new cases, with another 65 deaths. I mean, listen, y'all, this is real. And everyone running around here with these conspiracy theories, and everybody want to run around here. I mean, think about it, Mary. The governor of this state asked us to go ahead and wear masks and social distance. And you have people want to kidnap this woman, try her for treason, and execute her because she's talking about this is our constitutional right not to wear a mask. That is ridiculous what's taking place here. And the bottom line is these numbers right here. Yeah, I'm scared because the bottom line, I got people that I love, and all of us do. Our poor senior citizens, and they're the ones that seem to be trying to go ahead and be as responsible as possible, but they have kids and they have grandkids that are out here. They're out here having parties like this, like we're not even in the middle of a pandemic. And these poor first responders too, Mary. Come on.
Oh man, I was looking at these nurses and doctors. It was a gentleman, a friend of mine. Mom was in the hospital and a nurse, and they say he walked out the room. Kaino, he was just standing in the halls and just broke out crying because he's so exhausted from working. That's another thing, is that they just don't think about. I want everybody that's working, trying to keep us together and trying to keep us safe. It's just not fair to them as well. We must stop the spread. But Kaino, I want to put out there to our listeners, even like now, I'm so used to being with family at Thanksgiving and Christmas. We have decided everybody is going to stay in there. Much as I'm going to miss being around my parents, being around the whole family, we're all having our dinner separately at home. Everybody is staying in their own house. It just don't make sense to continue to put the risk in and jeopardize getting my parents sick or even my grandchildren. And I'm just asking you guys really consider, not having those family gatherings and everybody, we could do Zoom on Thanksgiving and on Christmas and to stay home, because right now the numbers are the worst. Even when we first had the outbreak, Kaino, they say the hospitals are backfilled, they running out of equipment again. The numbers are worse than they have ever been. And
Yeah.
at one point, we have to say enough is enough. But I want to ask you something, Kaino. I really was shocked that she didn't shut the city back down, stepped up and was a little harder. Do you think maybe they have put a little fear in the governor? Because I was just totally shocked at the numbers, and they were beginning, and she shut down, so drastically. Do you think maybe they put a little fear in her after that planned kidnap attempt? What is your opinion?
Well, I mean, of course, it's going to go and do a little something to you, but I think it's more so the fact of the matter is she has to be a little apprehensive, but she has to start backing up, because school, no one will be going to school, no kids will be going to school in person until at least the middle of January. So she has to start pushing, and she's pulling back with the levels now. But she has to be really methodical about it, because this next one with the president, especially with this transition period in place, when it comes to financial support for a lot of different families and individuals, become more difficult, because now you're going in transition in between two federal organizations. I mean, entities. You're talking about a Republican president transition over to a Democratic president. The Republican president is in denial about the fact that he's lost, and so now when you start talking about making these different particular moves, now we have to be a little bit more careful, because when we start talking about stimulus packages and things of that nature, is going to go ahead and make its way back into some of the households. It might not be as free flowing as it was, and so it's going to be an economic hit when she shuts it down. And honestly, the way this is going, she's going to have to shut it down again. And it can't really be mad, because that woman gave us all a chance to go ahead and get it right. She gave us all. And so what happened? And don't put this in for the record. Don't put in. Originally, everyone wanted to go ahead and say, I'm calling out both sides of the spectrum. Everyone wanted to go ahead and say it was the Trumpers. And that Trump thing to making people believe you don't have to wear masks, that was horrific. But however, now I'm calling out the brothers and sisters too. Every time I roll by a park, it's jam-packed with people out there, not a mask in sight. These large parties that everybody's throwing. Not a mask in sight. We have basketball tournaments with hundreds of people crowded up on the court. Not a mask in sight. And y'all thought that y'all were going to be immune to this, or it wasn't happening. Now look at these numbers. Now, and to your point, Mary, these first responders. They're crying. Yeah, they break it down. I had a couple of them break down to me. Can you imagine? Because every time they step in there, they took an oath to protect. Not protect the server, but they took an oath to go ahead and take care of anybody that comes across their medical threshold, and they have to do it. But it takes a whole nother. It's kind of like somebody is suicidal. Someone's suicidal, but it takes a whole nother complexion when they come in and they're holding a gun, and and you giving them everything they need to go ahead and not be suicidal, but yet and still they come in wielding a gun with the potential of taking you out, not only taking themselves out, but taking you out with them. That is horrific, and that's where we are right now.
We are, Kaino, and I had a friend that didn't believe, like you say, these conspiracy theories. She ended up with COVID. Kaino, it's almost like she didn't take it serious, wouldn't do masks, or didn't believe it. But Kaino, it's just really, when you think about it, those are the ones, you hate to see anybody get sick, but you like, damn, now you didn't believe nothing anybody said. Now you have jeopardized your family members. Now you have someone in a hospital that's not going home to see their family member, trying to take care. That's where it just seemed like, if you don't believe in it, it should be a place y'all can go, and it's, hate to say it, and it's not the hospital. Since you so didn't believe it, don't take up a bed. Don't put somebody else through it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't believe nothing. It's just because it's just so unfair. Like the first responders are putting not only themselves at risk, but their families as well. Some doctors didn't go home for 6-7 months.
But because they couldn't, because they were so scared to take it home to their loved ones. Let's be practical about that. Listen, to all our first responders, thank you. That's police, that's fire, that's nurses, That's medical. I mean, that's all doctors,
All
anyone
of
who's
them.
professional. All of you, thank you. And I'm so sorry that we as America, we as Americans, and we as Michiganders have elected to go ahead and put your efforts and passion and love in
Yeah.
vain, because we want to go ahead and be stupid and defiant. And is that ridiculous? We live in a country with all these resources, and we are in the country with the worst amount of cases. I mean, that's shooting through, and the greatest amount of deaths. All these other third world countries have got a better control on this,
Yes.
but I mean, it's horrible because we're just so defiant.
It is. And we have to just shout out because Kaino, I've realized it goes so much deeper when we talk about the nurses, the aides. We have the staff that's cleaning the room, Kaino. We have the staff that's taking them to their different tests. I had a friend that, thank God she did test negative, but she had been transporting these patients to X-ray, transporting them to get different tests. So you have all of them in the hospital at risk. Think of when they coming and cleaning the rooms and taking away all of the if it's just deeper than that, and we just have to stop being so selfish and just think about me. You understand what I'm saying?
I do, Mary.
So I'm wordless, and we just have to keep putting it out there. If there's anything, we touched on some good stuff tonight, but is there anything, if you could pick one thing you want to leave our audience with, what would that be, Kaino?
I just need y'all to understand the seriousness of this pandemic. And the reality is this. This is not a solo project. This is a group project. The only way that we're going to be able to get through this pandemic is that we are going to all have to go ahead and operate as one. The whole theory, y'all got to get rid of this theory about people doctoring up the numbers, because here's the reality. Because the amount of cases that have been reported, you need to multiply that by 3 minimum. And that's the amount of people that's truly running around out here with COVID numbers. And also, too, as far as Pontiac is concerned, let me give y'all this. Since, if you want to worry about, you don't think it's hitting Pontiac, in the last 7 days now, we had 653 cases in Pontiac. 653 cases, new cases in Pontiac alone in the last week. So come on, y'all. Listen, that's a scratch in the surface, because I know people right now who I know have it. Well, they have all the symptoms, because I'm talking to family members who are telling me about the different things their loved ones are going through. I mean, even with Carla, who just passed away from it on the in the waiting room at the hospital. I mean, and please rest in peace to the ring, to this ring staff. I mean, that's a young lady I grew up with. But the reality is, she tried to fight it. She tried to brave it at home. And also shout out to Deanna Dix. I mean, to the Dixon family. I want everyone to go ahead and have a moment of silence and a prayer for them. Mookie was one. Deanna Dixon is her name. Mookie was one amazing, amazing woman and soul. And she lost her battle to this just a week ago. This is absolutely real. I'm talking about, had the voice of an angel, but I mean, one of the best that ever come through yet. I'm sorry, Mary.
That's okay. I'll say we're also praying for Nick. He's in Pontiac and he was diagnosed as well. So it's real out here. And as I always say, Kaino, thank you for coming and being a part of the SOS show. We always try to bring something. If we're not motivating, we're trying to educate, inspire, and help you to live your best life. And I want to thank you. Guys, please be safe. Wear your mask and consider not having big family gatherings, because this one decision could maybe be the best you ever made, and you could be with them next year, because it's taking people out, Kaino. I love you, Kaino. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
I love you more, and thank you too, Mary.
Mary.
Yes.
Before the show ends, I just got one thing to say to those that want to support Trump. It's time to go. It's time for him to go. He's gone. That's my theme song. Thank you.
Donna G.
All right, Kaino.
We call that dropping the mic, huh?
Yeah, dropping the mic. It's time to go, Kaino. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Talk to you then.
Okay.
I know they gon' remember me, 'cause I'm gon' leave a legacy.